actually turn right to Rich, see if he has something he wants to say.
So I think the question that I have, good morning, thank you again for a pretty straightforward town meeting. The question I have is what you're gonna talk about the town committee handbook. I have some interest in that.
Okay.
And so are you gonna be revising it or talking about revising it or what?
Yes,
Okay,
later.
thank you.
You're welcome. You folks are probably here for the discussion that's coming a little later, or did you want?
I actually just, I realized that our committee, our next step is we need to email the Public Utilities Commission and let them know that we're official committee. And one of the requirements is that they have a contact point in the town office.
That's what it was, okay?
Well, in the town office, yeah, but
Yeah.
they need a contact voice, yeah.
For,
a
you know,
person.
I can be the contact for the committee,
Right.
but I just needed
But
to
you gotta
know.
come 8 hours a day.
Yeah. I've already put in notice at work and everything.
Yeah, actually, there as a contact, so,
But-
because we did that for the solar and for the energy part and all that, so.
So if you could, when you email them,
Just
assuming
put
it's
Dina.
okay with your committee.
Yeah, we're gonna meet this afternoon and, you know.
Work that out and
work that
and
out.
give them Dina's name as well.
Okay. Yeah, I did notice on the agenda, there's some, you guys are talking about something else or, yeah, okay. With the-
Just
Let's,
zip it up, because you don't really have to do anything.
the draft, we have a draft charge, we'll try and get to that after the, as soon as we open the library solar bids, after public has had
Okay,
their,
sure.
that way you
I'll
don't
hang out,
miss
yeah.
gobs of work.
And you also need to assign somebody to be the
Point person.
person that's, no, that's a voting member
Oh,
for the,
that's what
for
it
the New
was.
Hampshire I never can pronounce that word. Is it coalition?
Coalition, the
Oh,
Community Power
That was
Coalition,
close.
they need a
So, yeah,
voting
you need
member.
somebody that votes for the board of directors and things like that.
I see, okay,
That has to be from the town.
right, okay.
Okay,
I'm just here to watch the unveiling of the bids.
support James. Okay, and we have Hebe?
Yeah.
Ms. Quinton, did you wish to speak? Hello, knock knock.
Morse code.
We can't hear you. I don't know what's going on. It's always something.
We could just then.
In your,
Hello, she said I'm trying.
if you,
And maybe it's on my end.
if you click on that little caret next to the microphone,
You see a carrot next to the
that
microphone?
little thing, you can then select, if you click on that little up arrow
Maybe the
thing.
TV needs to be turned up, Jordan says.
Oh, right here,
That could be.
it's on mute on the TV.
This is ridiculous. No, it looks like it's working. See,
Yeah.
it's going up and down.
Yeah, if you click on that little up
I
arrow
don't
next to
know
the
what you're
microphone, you
talking
can
about.
select.
He said right here, click
That
on
little
this.
guy, you can select what your speaker is. And it should be, is it the OWL, same as system, Echo controlling smartphone?
Oh, there we go.
Yay.
Yeah,
Thank you,
Thank
James.
you.
You've come to every meeting.
Got it. When it gets turned off.
You're on.
Great. Good morning. I was just, I saw that the electrical, cooperative work was on the agenda, and I hadn't heard what that might have been about, so just making sure that James has got support. He wasn't sure he was gonna make it. And the other point was, I was, in reviewing the minutes from last year's town meeting, I noticed that
Well, we did revisit it briefly. I actually spent a number of hours looking at all of them and looking at from other towns. But then we moved on to other things that at the moment were more pressing and they kind of fell by the wayside. But it's been on my mind, and if we get a chance this year, we will get back into revisiting those.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Okay. Now, it is 9:10, and can we open the library bids 5 minutes early, or would that be not?
I don't see why not.
She's already open.
Okay,
So
so
I
this,
just sat here getting them ready, so.
and this is
I hate
for
to sit
the
here.
solar going on the library building.
Yes,
And then we will move on to other items from the people that are here.
Catamount Solar is the first one. Turnkey price for the project is $63,400.
Okay.
I like it when they have it right on the front letter.
That one does not, apparently. Who is that?
Part of the problem. Oh, here we go. This is Omera Solar. And this is $69,384.80.
80 cents.
I know.
Yeah. Okay.
No, as a bookkeeper, I like that.
I know. Kevin Sari is around everything.
I know. Kevin and I had many rounding battles.
How many bids do we get?
Six or, I don't know. I forgot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a
it was
lot.
great. This is part of the frustration of not being able to look at them before,
Yes, it is.
because they're sealed. Okay, Ace Solar, $75,142.
Okay.
They weren't aware it was a competitive bid.
This is revision. Okay, this one's just a teeny bit, but it says, net investment. Well, first, yeah, discipline.
Yeah, that doesn't work.
Turnkey cost, $56,440. Yeah, that was when you take out the credit.
Yeah.
Smart Roof Capital. Total system cost, $85,478. But again, there's tax credits and all that other stuff factored in later.
So we're not comparing apples to apples.
Well, I'm just telling you what they're saying.
Yeah,
yes.
no, I get it, I'm not criticizing you, I just, it
I
sounds
don't
like to
think it
really,
is.
yeah, to
Well, you
really
have to read it.
understand,
Something
we have to look at it
more
more
is in that
carefully.
one.
Right, and then what will happen right now is the energy committee will take them and use their eagle eye to review them
See which ones include the kind of
and
things.
then
you
make
don't
their
want.
recommendation. Okay, this is Barrington Power.
Huh. As in Rhode Island?
I don't know. Doesn't say where they're from. Okay, system. I was looking for a hint on what page it might be on.
Lots of verbiage on that one. These are all roof-mounted systems, is that correct? Do we know?
Roof mounted, correct?
Roof-mounted?
Yes.
Sorry, guys.
That's okay.
Well, this one might have to wait. Oh, here we go. Turnkey, 54,513.
In the right direction.
Well, I think they're, those probably include the much lower ones already include the tax thing in it, but they're not giving me the total cost upfront without that. So that's it.
Okay, 6 bids,
Right. And
ranging
Jordan-
from 54 and
Yeah.
change to 85 and change.
So just 6, I'll say.
Yeah, 6.
Do you happen to know, so there's there's tax credits for installing solar, but the entities involved here that would be installing the solar are all tax exempt. They're not paying tax to begin with. Do you know, is it a refundable credit? So it's not really a tax credit, it's really just a check from the feds?
It's not a tax credit in the way of our tax. It's a tax credit that they actually get it
It's actually a
back.
rebate.
It's a refund.
So it's it's really just
A rebate.
A grant.
A grant,
Yeah, right. To encourage people to be able to do this, right?
And it applies even to tax exempt entities.
That's one of the reasons they changed it, because towns couldn't, get the tax credit earlier.
Right,
And now they
but now they can.
So it's a rebate rather than really a tax.
from the feds.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I would call it a rebate more than
Yeah.
anything else.
Well, it looks like a rebate is something usually that you pay that you can get back.
Yeah, well,
I look at it differently.
yes, sir.
I'm still trying to figure out the relationship between the library trustees and the select board. So, we will hopefully meet on Monday night, if we have a quorum, and look through all this and make a recommendation, and then the trustees, the library trustees meet on the 3rd, so the following Monday. And we'll give them our recommendation. But I just need to know who signs off on this.
Select board.
Okay.
Yeah, and they know that, and Judy and I have worked out a system where we're going back and forth, because I actually, when you told me that you were meeting with the trustees, I emailed her and said, okay, let me know what happens Monday night, so
Okay.
we'll be touching base on that, but.
So our meeting with them is really an informational, this is
Oh, yeah,
our
well, they
recommendation.
should be, they should definitely be
Yeah.
involved and know who you're gonna recommend and,
If you have a written document they're giving them, that would be great if you gave Dina a copy of that, so that when it comes time for the trustees and the selectmen to make a final decision,
Okay.
we've had a chance to study it and know how they're feeling and what you're feeling.
Great, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So let's skip to, yes. The electric aggregation charge, the draft of their charge.
right,
Which is in your packet that is in front of you. And it looks to me like it's a fairly standard charge.
and some of the stuff came from Jim, sending it back to me, with suggestions, so. Quite a while ago.
It's near the bottom, I think. the Lyme Electrical Aggregation Committee charge.
Yeah, once again demonstrate my general ignorance. I didn't understand why this starts with the general court finds it to be in the public. Like, who's the general court and why are they,
It's as I understand it, New Hampshire legislature authorized towns and cities to be able to come together to make these aggregation committees and decisions. And so I think this statement of purpose is the authorization statement.
That came from me looking up and the legal terms, actually Joe sent that to me too, on how to let people know what it is and why. But,
I found that confusing, but,
well, you don't have to leave it there if you don't want to.
Well, we could maybe put it at the bottom
no, I don't.
as a note,
I just didn't know what the reference to the general court was.
yeah.
I don't even know what that is.
That's the legislature.
Oh.
The total, it's like
The
the
House.
government.
Right.
It's because they, I think it's the combined, Senate and,
Okay, how about if we just change that to the government of the state of New Hampshire?
Oh, sure,
Everybody would understand that, right?
they would.
Well, we should actually put that somewhere else because this actual paragraph is,
It's required by the
It's-
attorney.
well, see how it says 53-E, colon
Yes.
1? That's an actual written part of their
Okay.
vote or whatever they.
Well, look, if town council has told us that that's the way it has to, that it needs this particular magic language, I'm fine with that. I'm just,
Yeah, I don't think you didn't mean it had to go at the beginning, so if you
I
think
don't
it's
care where
that
it goes, I just-
confusing, okay,
It's
I just-
confusing to you.
okay.
yeah.
Well, you could have a,
And I have at least an average level of the legal education.
Well, I can just, move it down and at the end and put a little,
No, it's
statement
okay. Dee.
before.
or you could put a statement before it saying, the New Hampshire legislature authorized
Right.
this under
Right.
53-E:1, which says, statement of purpose.
Yeah.
And then it's clear.
Okay, sure.
okay.
So a little intro, and then, and I like that we've got Lyme Electric Aggregation Committee written out,
Yes.
and then parens LEAC, because I notice in a lot of things, you get used to the initials, but only if you're used to using them. Anyone else reading it kind of goes, what the heck is
Right, what does that mean?
LEAC? Or whatever it might be.
Usually the first time you use a defined term, like when you put it in the parentheses, you put it in quotation marks too,
Oh, okay,
but.
so we can add quotes for that.
Okay.
I would do the same thing with community power aggregation, the
Right.
CPA.
Every time I see that, I think it's an accountant. Okay, and we've got the membership being not less than 3, no more than 7. I'm assuming that was, you folks came up with that number?
I just grabbed that from some of our basic committees that are
Okay,
kind of the same thing.
does that?
Is that gonna be enough, or is there any possibility that we would want more folks on that?
I don't know, I think 7 is probably good. It might get a little unwieldy, more than that.
Yeah, but you know what, you can always,
Revise it.
have as many people that wanna come and help you, and they don't have to be an
Okay.
official member.
Right,
You
okay,
can welcome anybody.
yeah.
Have you all seen this?
No.
Oh,
Yeah.
You didn't get it?
Did you send it?
I sent a draft a long time ago, way back after I first wrote it.
Oh, maybe I do
this-
have it
I
and
did
I,
this a long time ago.
okay, maybe that's
I
why.
probably didn't see the update.
I've seen one on the website.
Right,
That's a
well,
little
that's-
different? or-
No, that's what it is.
Yeah, okay, that's the one
Except
I
for
saw.
whatever we added today.
Okay, yeah.
And the last thing I saw was duties and responsibilities, number 7. Dina's familiar with my nitpicking stuff. So, for consideration, develop a draft community power aggregation plan for consideration by the select board and by the legislative body, I added that word, paren town meeting, at town meeting 2024.
Okay,
So it makes it really clear that we're looking for next year.
Yeah,
So
okay.
we're gonna have a little
Judy.
intro, and then we're gonna have this, and then we're gonna have those, few
Perfect.
edits. So let us know if you think that's acceptable. And,
yeah.
does it
Good
look
to
okay?
me. Yeah, it looks okay to me. I had read it on here before. So it's just the beginning changed a little bit, so.
Um,
Yeah, thank you, yeah.
You're welcome. Okay, I'm gonna move it as edited. I need a second.
Second.
Thank you, Ben. All those in favor say aye.
David, aye?
Judy, aye. And it is now an official charge.
All right,
Thank you.
thanks
You're
again.
welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
James, thanks for giving notice at work too.
And, Jim, we'll have those, I'll email you and let you know when the copies and everything's ready.
Thank you both
Have a good
very
day.
much.
See
You
ya.
too. Watch out for deer.
Yeah. And chickens.
Yes, the chickens. Okay, going back, I don't think there was anything else. Okay.
That's good to get that done.
And, that's good. Approval of the March 9th, 2023 public minutes. What do we wish to do with the minutes?
I'll move them.
Second.
Thank you, David, thank you, Ben. Any further changes? I know David said he made a couple of changes.
Just one little teeny one.
I understand what it is. I think we were talking about it before Ben came in, so you might.
The way it was written, it kind of made it sound like my support for signing the joint powers agreement was contingent on the committee adding additional technical expertise, which that wasn't really what I just thought, I was in favor of approving the joint powers agreement, and I suggested that they might find it helpful, but that's kind of up to them.
Ben,
I'll change it to,
Okay, so Ben is moving.
I'll second.
David is seconding. Now Ben.
Ben.
David?
David,
Judy, they are approved. Thank you. Okay. That is right here. By the way, I know I may have said this before, it is really helpful having the packets.
Good.
Manifests, the manifest came over yesterday.
Can we sign?
You can sign
The
it,
amount,
sure.
Can we move them?
the amount is $67,181.96. And yes, if you wanted to move them, Ben, that would be
I
fine.
will move.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
David,
Ben, aye.
Judy, aye. It is approved. $67,181.96. Good. Okay.
I'll be wet for a second.
Yep. Cartographic Associates, we have tax map maintenance, a contract, and an additional amount for planning. I believe these two items are also in the packet. And I asked Dina to check, cause I kind of, maybe I saw this in the small conference room, but I was familiar with it, so I thought maybe we'd already signed it, but we hadn't, Dina.
No, you have not.
Okay,
Like I said, time flies when you're having fun, and it's last year's, I think.
so these are, let's see,
Two of them.
$2,500 for the general tax map maintenance contract and $900 for the planning one.
Well, could you sort of outline for me what, like I read the agreements, but what do these guys actually do?
Tax
They-
maps.
They, when we get a deed, or we get a lot line adjustment, or we get whatever we get, we send it to them, they read the mets and bounds, they check and make sure that our tax maps are laid out correctly. If there's any surveys, they make, changes, all that's by law, we have to have that done every year.
And do they then upload it to the website where, like, if I go onto the Lyme,
They don't upload it, we do, they give us an electronic thing and then
I
we,
see.
yeah, we upload it to the website. And then the planning ones are just that, it shows the various
okay.
planning areas and
We've been working with this same company to do this for a long time.
we have,
They're pretty good.
they have all of our stuff. They are great to work with.
So do we ever put it out for bid or anything, or?
Well, we haven't for quite some time and it's interesting that you said that because I thought of that myself. But I just think we've never been,
Well, they're doing a
We,
good job.
happy
we
with
had a
them, but-
different company years ago, maybe 25 or more,
before I started maybe, but
before you
yeah,
started,
yeah.
who were doing it, but then, I can't remember what happened, but we went with Cartographics and we were
It was an issue.
pretty happy with them. It might have been a cost issue or it might have just been, I don't know.
Well, I think what's best about these guys is they're kind of à la carte, also, there's other things that, if you want something GPS, they'll do that. We don't GPS every single house but we can if we want to, they're very reasonable that way.
So do we still have them though showing where the structures are?
Mhm.
Yeah, cause I was gonna say, I
Yeah.
remember
Yeah.
when we were first able to do that, and that was really great, as
Yeah.
opposed to just
Yeah,
here's your piece of land.
Right.
Kind of the
yeah,
tax.
and they're
law.
also great about, if we get a question or a problem, the guy we work with, his name is Franco, and he just, he'll research it for us and.
What is there a general rule about when we're required to put something out to bid and when we can just continue on with an existing contractor? Is there an RSA or?
We have a policy.
And what does the policy say?
The policy says that anything over $5,000 needs to be,
And this is under that, so.
it is under it. Doesn't mean that we shouldn't,
Yeah,
but, I think that's entirely up to you guys.
I mean,
Well,
if,
sometimes we're getting good services at a reasonable price. Changing vendors might be much more expensive.
Correct.
okay.
what do we wish to do with these two contracts?
I'll move them.
Yeah,
Okay, Van,
I'll second.
thank you, David, all those in favor say aye.
David, aye.
And Judy, aye, okay, and if you have the originals, Ben can start
Yeah.
signing.
You can just sign it and I'll fill in the rest. If you want.
Okay, then we have the Upper Valley Lake Sunapee Regional Planning Commission.
Yeah, this one kind of bugged me a little bit more.
Okay, tell us about, this is a letter from them to us, I'm assuming that it probably went to a number of Upper Valley towns where they are going to begin working to address the current housing crisis. And they have focused much of their effort on advancing a homeowner developer utility. Thank you. And they are asking for partners to join with the Upper Valley Lake Sunapee Regional Planning Commission, otherwise known as UVLSRPC. And they sent us a form to send back to them saying that we support it and that we might give some direct financial support and, et cetera. So I was left with some uneasy feeling about it. David, tell me what your thoughts were.
Like, I know they talk about a housing crisis, but I don't really know what that means, or what they think it means.
Mhm.
And this seemed like I don't know, when I read the material, it was just an incredible amount of jargon. And look, I might or might not support, I'm not even sure what they're doing or what their goal is, but, and I might or might not support it, but reading that thing, I can't really tell what their position is on something. It looks like they have a political position about the availability of certain types of housing. And I just wasn't sure that it was the place for the select board of the town of Lyme to be jumping into a political debate like that, particularly where you can't discern from what they've sent us, what their, I couldn't figure out what their position was or what they're really trying to do. And, you know, even more so if they're asking us to give them tax dollars.
Right.
I have a, go.
Ben, did you have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, it's not clear to me what's going on.
Yeah, so it's not clear to Ben either. Dina?
Well, I just had a suggestion.
Okay.
Bill Malcolm is your rep to the
Mhm.
Upper Valley Lake Sunapee
So get him down there
group,
to
so
like
we could send this to him and ask him for his
input.
opinion
Probably
or
right.
recommendation or something.
I'd like to expand on that. That's a great idea. I hadn't thought about that. We should definitely send it to him to give us some advice on. I would like it to go to the chair of the planning board as well, because I think anything that might come out of this, which is more universally applied to a number of towns, might be impacted by local zoning and,
And infrastructure.
right.
You know, one of the big issues is.
So I also was a little hesitant, although I am right in the camp of saying there certainly is limited affordable housing, workforce housing. But, so, Evdina, if you could see that both the planning board chair and
Bill,
Bill, our local rep, get it, and if they can give us some advice,
okay.
that would
Yeah,
be.
and if there's sort of political issues where
Yeah.
there's sort of two sides to the debate and, you know, some people want more affordable housing and maybe some people don't, maybe some people wanna retain the rural character of the town or,
Mhm.
that makes,
It's an
no
uneasy.
matter what I feel about it, I feel uneasy sort of committing the town
Right.
to positions like that. It might, some people might say, "Well, you're spending my tax
Right.
money to do this thing that I don't agree with."
Right,
Exactly.
yeah, I think we need to be careful where
Yeah.
we wade in. All right, thank you both, that's great, so it's a consensus that we're gonna look to get more input, and if we were to go forward, oh, and maybe David Robbins also should look at this.
Yeah.
I think it should be brought up at town meeting.
Yeah.
I don't think the select board should be doing this kind of, if we decide that it might be a good thing. Okay. That's that one. Let's see. Well, I know that Ms. Quinton is waiting for us to discuss the committee, commission, and board handbook review. And so I'm gonna pop that up next. And I will just start by saying that we did get a copy of the existing handbook. Town council suggested, based on a couple of conversations that occurred these past few weeks, that we revise this, we look through it, bring it a little bit up to date, perhaps make it a little easier to read. And we need to discuss, but probably mostly strike, the section that talks about using the Lyme listserv. I would suggest that we should all take sort of a careful read of it, make some notes, and perhaps at our next meeting have a more informed, if you will, or more time, yes, because town meeting was
Yeah.
Tuesday night and this is Thursday morning, and Dina did get Johnny on the spot and sent this out to us, but I think that I started looking at it and making some suggestions, and I would suggest to anyone of the public who has some thoughts, if they would like to zip a brief
Sure.
email to us that we could include in our discussion, that would be great, rather than kind of, I don't mean this in a derogatory way, but sort of spinning our wheels today.
Right, that's
And
fair.
And so I can't see Ms. Quinton, but I'm hoping you could look and see if she's okay with that.
Okay, let's
Okay.
see what she says. And it's an important document, so
It
I
is
think
important.
you do need to take time.
And we will be, elections are next week, and our next meeting is the following week's Thursday. Coincides with new elected folks, and that would be perfect timing, I think. So, and Ben and David, I think you will get an updated copy with my suggested changes, all except for the very end of it, from Nina. I worked on it last night, so I felt like I was David working on this in the wee hours. Okay. That's that. This is something else altogether. This is something else
Alright.
altogether. Okay. Oh, this is a fun one. The Upper Valley Lake Sonaview Regional Planning Center EV Charging Infrastructure Grant. We received also a mailing from the Upper Valley Lake Sonaview Regional Planning Commission. And they are, where did it go? This might be. The Federal Highways Charging and Fueling Infrastructure Grant is now open. One of the things being suggested is installing public electric vehicle chargers in the vicinity of the Lyme Green. Applications are due on May 30th, and their staff would be happy to assist us. I'm not really sure, they say in the note to us, they can be located on any public road or in other publicly accessible
If we
locations.
can put one in that little parking lot behind Stella's. You know,
On the other side, the park and
The
ride,
parking lot area.
yeah,
The state, yeah, you'd have to get the state's permission, but.
The real question for me is, does the grant cover the entire cost of the thing,
Well,
or is the town
they
of Lyme on the
said
hook for a bunch of money
the
too?
minimum award amount is 500,000. Populations of less than 50,000 are considered to be rural. I don't know what that means exactly, and there's a 20% cost share from the applicant, so I would say we need kind of more detail,
We need to come up with, but if there's a 20% cost share, that means we're paying at least a fifth
right?
of the cost. And I have no idea what, like, I don't know how those things work. I wish Jim and Jim were still here, Jim
Yeah.
and James were still here. Like, if you put in one of those charging stations, do they work for every kind of car, or like, are the
Well,
Teslas different from the
I think,
Kias and the?
I think Mr. Clark is here for the same info, maybe he
Yeah.
has some info for you.
Well, I'm not sure that I do, but Ray Clark, 226 Pinnacle Road. And thank you for having this conversation. So just to explain my interest, I have an electric car, and that makes me somewhat acutely aware of the need for public infrastructure to support more electric vehicles. So I am interested. The timing is quite coincidental, because I was planning on approaching the select board, having a personal interest in these EV chargers and unaware of the fact that there was this, I knew there were sort of loosely something going on with the, let's see, government initiative, but I didn't know what it was and still don't. But I think there is a need for it. I think that location alongside Stella's in the public park and ride is probably a great location for it. I think there's good, I think there's 3-phase there, and I'm not sophisticated enough to know what that means for a series of chargers. It's my understanding that they don't have a universal adapter system yet, but I can't imagine they would do this kind of a build-out without demanding that, so I would think that would be part of it.
Yeah, I think that's been a problem, and from what I've heard
Yeah.
anecdotally, there isn't one universal, and Tesla is different than, what's the other one, Volt?
Mhm.
Or, so that could be an issue.
Yeah, and the charge rates vary a lot between different charging systems, so that's pretty critical to get right. I think the systems, from what I've read, cost between 30 and 50,000 per station. And I'm assuming that they would have a recommendation based on our population and traffic flows, et cetera. But I'm thinking maybe a 3 to 5 charging station would be adequate for our local needs plus travelers.
So if we did either 3 or 5, that would take up a good portion of parking there, of the parking ride.
Which is limited anyway.
Which is limited, so if I park my SUV there and it's in front of a charging station, we sort of nullified the charging thing.
Yes, yeah, I think that is an issue. You know, you could consider approaching Stella's, but I don't know what their parking build-out allows for, but
Oh, they're full up too.
I would expect they wouldn't want to give
Everybody's
up.
full up,
Yeah,
You know, just while we're on parking for a second, the Lyme Foundation, which I hear across the bed sheets.
That's enough.
But anyways, they're considering grants for the ski, cross-country ski area over there, and the
Oh.
first thing I brought up was, well, where are they gonna park? And what are they thinking about?
Yeah,
That state parking lot, which I don't think is an acceptable place. They should come up
that's
with
supposed to
a-
be
They
a
can't plan
commuter
on it.
lot, yeah. So, well,
So we gotta be
Another
careful
question.
with these groups that are.
Right. We would have to get their permission, or somebody would, to do anything there.
right,
Well, and the town should be involved with something there.
well, yeah, go ahead. Dave.
Another question about the electric vehicle charging stations. So you get a grant from these guys to put the station in and the town pays 20%. After that, when it's operating, it's using electricity. It's not free, presumably.
So somebody has to pay for
Who's
that.
paid, do you know who typically picks up the charge? No pun intended.
I don't, because my interest in it has been as a private electric vehicle user, and potentially I saw this as an opportunity, as an investment opportunity, quite frankly.
Yeah.
So I don't really know, but these are some of the challenges of
If
trying to
you-
do something.
Go to West Lebanon to, is it, Price
Walmart.
Chopper?
Yeah.
Right.
Yes. The-
And you plug in,
Yes.
do you get charged?
Well, yes, it's automatic, so when I pull up in my Tesla, it knows who the car is and who to bill. So it's seamless in that way and very clever.
That's the
There's
Tesla network,
Yes,
which
yeah,
you'd expect coming
yeah.
that way.
and I don't know, it's very reasonable in terms of charge per mile. But I'm sure that Tesla is making something off of that, and I would imagine the federal government would want to get something back in exchange, but I don't really know how that would work.
Well,
Can
and I
you,
was gonna
put-
say.
you have your own charging station at home?
I do, but it's not as powerful or as fast as what's available publicly.
But you can, overnight you charge.
Yes, yeah. Yeah.
So, for us to support this, it seems to me we have a bunch, this seems like an interesting thing, and I potentially would be willing to support it as a select board member, but I have a bunch of questions. One is, what's it gonna cost initially to Lyme? And secondly, is there an ongoing operation cost to Lyme? Are we picking up the electricity tab, or are users paying for that somehow when they charge?
And if we're gonna do this, again, I think this is something that probably should go to town meeting, this 20% of 500,000 or
The
200,000.
funds certainly should be
Yeah,
approved
we're gonna
at
need
town meeting.
funding from town meeting,
And
and
the location needs
and
to
the
be
lo-
discussed.
so I think we have,
I mean, I put it on the backside.
Well,
of
but we
town.
have to do an application here
Well,
by
I
the end of
did-
next month, so.
I did email her
uh-huh,
and ask her for a little more details as far as
uh,
if we filled out the application, does that mean we're committed or just interested? So I haven't heard
Okay.
back from her.
okay, so
So
we'll
once
put
I
this
do-
on the continuing list.
Also, could you ask if there's somebody there who could maybe answer these kind of questions?
Yeah.
And, you know, what are these, oh, you know, is it $500,000 we're talking about spending here, or is it 100,000, and who pays for the electricity as this thing operates?
And I'm wondering so I'm guessing, hoping we'll have some answers by our next meeting, but as a follow-up to that, I wonder if, looks like we might go forward with this, would this be appropriate to send to the Lyme Electric Committee and have them,
Or the energy committee?
that's what I mean, yes.
Have them look at it.
Have them look at it and give an opinion, because, yeah.
That's a great idea.
It's a perfect thing for them to give
Yeah,
an
yeah,
opinion
yeah,
on.
they could research this,
Yeah.
and in fact, there's people on there who, I think most of the people there on that committee drive electric cars, or a number of them do, and they might know the answers to some of these questions.
Right.
And maybe if, maybe the ongoing electrical use question is, there is no cost to the town, it's the people who charge their cars who get billed for the electricity.
That
Well,
would, that would be
I was
great.
thinking you might even get funds from it, like you do when you generate solar, because
Mhm.
like,
Goes back
you
to the
can't
grid.
tell me that Walmart would give up 25 parking spaces for electric charging stations and not be getting anything back for it. I mean, maybe they would, maybe they're great, but I'm just saying.
Well, let people park their RVs there for free, so.
Okay, well, so let's, you're gonna reach out to Upper
Yep,
Valley, and if
yep.
you could send this to our friends now.
Send it to Jim.
At the Energy Committee, and.
So if I have an ongoing interest in this, perhaps I should discuss it with the Energy Committee?
I think that would be great,
Yeah.
and do you know James Graham?
Yes, yep.
And
No,
Jim?
Yeah, Jim
Mhm.
Norris.
Jim
If you have an ongoing interest in this,
And
maybe you should be
Mark
on the energy.
Happy to talk to them,
Yeah,
yeah.
that would be great.
Yeah.
Reach
And-
out to them.
Thank you for your interest
Mark-
in it too.
Mark Bollinger is the other
Yeah,
one who's
yeah.
on that committee and very knowledgeable.
He's terrific, yeah.
So the other thing we might think about as we go about our daily routines is looking around and seeing where there is parking established, and who might, even if it's,
Should put it
They
right
are-
next to the cannon, right on the grid.
and we could maybe even split, 2 here, or 3 here, and 4 or 5 there, or
Well,
whatever.
actually, they should be somewhere where the parking is not utilized, not instead of where it is utilized.
And that's kind of what they did at the Shop and Save, or the Walmart,
Price
they put them
Chopper.
off,
Right.
Price Chopper, they put them all way off in the
Right.
corner there where no one ever otherwise usually parks.
Yeah, there's quite a few down that area.
Yeah, there are down there,
I've been
they're
seeing them
capturing,
pop up
and
all over the
people.
place.
Are there any spots like that in downtown
No,
Lyme?
you make a deal with the church, put them in the horse shed.
Right by the horse sheds.
Pull into the,
Well, at least to date, most of the electric vehicles are smaller, but I'm sure we'll be coming out with some big ones eventually.
I think the town owns the land that the church sits on, so yeah, you can have a conversation.
Well,
about
there's
that.
a real thought, one church
I
and
don't
state
well, they
separation.
really
Think
should
they
be
would like
somewhere
that.
where there isn't already
Right.
Yeah,
an impact to park.
okay, yeah,
Yeah.
that would,
Interesting
Although,
thought.
that area behind the church gets used when there's like an event or a funeral or something like that.
You know, don't charge your car, the car's at that time.
well, don't drive your car till it's out of juice. Because then you're gonna be in trouble.
All right.
All right.
Thank you all for your interest.
Oh, thank you
Thank you.
for that
Take care, Rick.
information. Okay,
I know businesses around the green would like them near their businesses just because they would get, somebody sitting there waiting 20 minutes might go in and buy a sample,
right?
or
Right.
go to the hardware store and buy something.
Wouldn't it be, yeah, well, yeah, that's food for thought too, to see where you might
It
be
also
able to
might be
put
a
them.
way to break in the backside of the common.
Yeah. Okay, lots of suggestions. And we've lost Sean, so is that, I should,
And he's very far away.
I think he's coming back, he went next door to do something.
yeah.
This is for the public safety stuff?
Yep, so we have, I'm going to be absent from next Tuesday's voting day, and a select board member is required to be at the polls the whole 12 hours that it's open. So we have a pro tem person who has agreed to do select board duties such as they are. And I will move that we appoint and sign the appointment of Deb Keller as pro tem for ballot voting day. And I need a second,
I'll
and it
second.
probably shouldn't be Ben. Thank you, David.
That really needs a hobby.
Well, she has no trouble volunteering for things, that's for sure.
Oh my gosh.
And so I will look for, I'm guessing Ben's going to abstain from this. David, how do you vote?
Aye.
And I vote aye, so
Provided she's willing, right? I mean,
she is willing.
volunteered for
I
it.
have, she didn't volunteer, I asked her, and she agreed. Okay. And that is a reminder to everyone, I know the folks right now that are listening in know this, but next Tuesday from 7 in the morning till 7 at night is the ballot portion, the voting for candidates for office and committees and commissions and whatnot.
Is Dina gonna tell me when to show up and what to do?
I
Yeah, hope you're gonna
think,
give us instructions.
You got it.
okay, Dina, you're in charge, you tell them when to show up.
Okay.
What we've typically done is 3 4-hour sessions, but you don't have to, you can go back and forth.
That's fine.
And,
Debbie's the newbie, so she gets the early morning shift.
No, she said she agreed already to do the early morning.
early
Oh, she
morning,
did?
Yeah.
Oh,
and
okay,
early
good. I
morning
was gonna say, you usually do, so I was.
and late at night, because she stays to
counts.
count ballots, so she'll probably be there at 5-ish or so you two guys
Judy begged out because she can't count votes.
can. That's true, I can't count votes this time.
Yeah, I have a Crossroads Board of Trustees meeting at 5:30, so I can do afternoon, or I can do early morning, whatever you
So
guys
you
want.
could do
but-
10 in the morning?
Yeah, sure. 10 to 2?
Okay, and then Ben, you can do 2 o'clock
So
till
whatever.
Deb
Till
comes
Debbie
back at like
relieves her.
5 or 6.
Perfect.
All right, and you'll let Kevin know, Dina?
I will.
Thank you. Okay.
And I'll send reminders
Oh, good girl.
to the gentleman and Debbie.
And, okay, we have non-public starting at 10:30, so I have a note here to review town meeting if we so wish to do that. I think it was pretty straightforward.
So I'm sorry, just to circle
Oh,
back,
yeah.
the only thing that people are actually voting for, like that little voting amendment about the FEMA stuff and the
Yes.
zoning amendment, there's nothing,
It's the zoning amendment and it's candidates for office.
it's gonna be really dead, isn't it? I mean,
There-
usually there's a town meeting that kind of gets people to go to that, but,
Right.
I mean,
but-
as it is,
Usually typically what I see is there are a lot of people from 7 to 8 or 8:30, and then it is just filtering through all day. I don't even think there are any contested.
School board.
School board is contested, so
Yeah,
you
there'll
may
be-
see more people.
You'll get a lot of voters. I don't know that you'll get
But
them
it'll be
at
steady.
once, but
It
yeah.
won't be like when
Right.
you have town meeting at the same time.
oh,
I guess that's an issue that I wanted us to talk about a little bit. I've asked a few different people and gotten, as you might imagine, different answers. How about that night meeting? Is that something in another year we could think about doing? Do we think we got more people, or?
Well, you had a huge turnout.
We did have a huge turnout. Now, I think that was because of the petition article and people were interested.
Yeah,
Thank
but
you, yes.
Just gotta get another petition article.
Yes,
As
I know.
controversial as that.
Or other people said they really like it when it's at 9 in the morning on the same day we vote, because people come in, they're energized, they vote, they sit down. It's a real, pardon my throat,
But
it's a
there's a
real
lot of
community.
people that work on those days.
And that's, yeah, that's the other thing, there was a feeling that there were more young people there in the evening.
I kinda like seeing people bring their kids and stuff.
Yeah, that is
I
true.
think there was some very, I think it was a different group. There were definitely people that I don't usually see at town meeting there.
So,
And
food
whether
for
it's 'cause
thought
they
for
were,
Rich and Hebe and others. Let us know, send us an email or shout out
Mhm.
what you think maybe. It was great, it was a good conversation, a lot of people showed up, they had opinions, that's what we need, and I would like to see that continue. I also like that everything leading up to the petition article went very quickly, and it was great.
It's all on the rails, yes. I'd have two comments.
Yes,
I
sir.
did like the evening. Something, in case you're looking for a big problem, let's do the school district meeting on the same day. Get everybody together all at once. That's all I'll say. Just throw it in the hopper.
Yep, we've
We
done
can have a
that.
longer
That-
discussion.
Comes up every year.
Yep,
Yeah, and I like that idea, we've done it 2 or 3 times. I'll tell you what happens. First, we have to decide who goes first. That's always an issue. Then, whoever goes second, do we lose people?
mhm.
You're gonna.
That's the thing, is that, you know, people have a
It makes
limited
it-
amount of emotional energy, and if
Makes
there's
it
contested stuff and there's
Long
too
meeting.
long, you just,
Yep.
people.
We
Yep.
used to do, years
Zone
ago,
out.
we did it during the ballot counting, one day, and we did the town business meeting at 9, and then at 1 o'clock, we did the school.
Mhm.
And it really did peter out.
That's too long a time span. Yeah, you're right. Okay.
But
I-
it
But
also
let's-
I
was-
like that you're suggesting that, because
Mhm.
there are a lot of people who say, let's just do, and when we had the tent, because of COVID,
Right.
we did them both on the same day.
Yep.
I don't remember any school meetings that really drew a crowd unless the budget got way too high. And
Or
then all
when
of a
they
sudden-
wanted to do full-day kindergarten, that brought in a big
Yeah, But
crowd.
I remember a couple of times the school budget got defeated and there was a huge crowd that showed up.
Yeah,
Hmm.
Gerald Hughes showed up. Tried to pound the posts into the ground somehow.
I don't even know the man.
Well,
yeah,
I
and,
don't remember
and
Lyme
there were-
ever defeating their budget.
Oh,
Their
yeah, they
regular
did.
operating budget?
No, the school budget.
I mean, that's what I mean, the
Yeah,
school.
the school budget.
Interesting.
I do
It went
remember.
down and that was the, if Gerald Hughes showed up to me and that budget was going down, that was,
Wow,
that meant everybody else showed up and it was.
that's interesting, but thank you, because
Okay,
that's
thank you.
been talked about somewhat endlessly, in fact, every year. But the school seems to have settled into that Thursday night before the normal Tuesday town
Mhm,
meeting.
Well, there is a threshold on how much a budget can go up before you get
Yep,
the
10%.
public to come out.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay, and, does Hebe wanna
So
say
the-
something, or
The
should
idea of having an open bar is probably a non-starter.
Not in the
Somebody
school,
did
yeah.
mention that they really missed, because it was at nighttime, they really missed seeing the kids selling the food and all that stuff, but
They were there selling
that's part of the social
Cookies.
time.
cookies.
Those
outside.
were Girl Scout cookies,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and it used to be, you've been in town long enough, you must remember out front, a pond selling her things.
Oh, sure, right.
All the food and the coffee, and it really was kind of a social hour. and
Right.
I had no reason not to do that now.
I
but
think,
COVID is
I think we
on.
could, somebody would, usually it's someone from the school organizes that. And it's a great thing to do, and I do remember school classes actually coming in to watch parts of town
Right.
meeting.
Well,
Hebe says the tent was the best.
I know,
When I was a kid, we attended every town meeting.
Did you?
Yeah.
The tent was very great. We would have to do some kind of special thing to be able to meet in May.
In March, oh, yeah, no, I was gonna say, we'd have to
Yeah.
Means
change,
either-
we could change the whole town's,
Yep,
structure, so that we're not a calendar year, so
yep.
we could be an SB two, and then we could do it when it's warmer out.
Yeah, we wouldn't wanna be an SB two, but
I know,
we would,
I'm just saying,
we could change to a fiscal year, and
That's
then
right.
we could meet in May when it would
Right.
be warmer.
right,
That would be fun. That was a lot of work as well, but it really was fun.
yeah.
All right. Just trying to drag my hair levels here.
I have a couple things if
Do
you
you?
run out of
All
time.
right.
I do, I have a
Pop
couple
in.
things. One is, Scott has interviewed one person and will be interviewing a few more. He's concerned about having to wait 2 weeks if he has a recommendation for a hire. So he was wondering if there's any way, if like Monday, if he had somebody to recommend for you guys to consider, would that be a possibility of getting you guys together to,
I'd be happy to, I think
Sure.
we certainly need our highway crew replacements.
We do.
Which Monday?
It's mud season.
well, he was talking about
This coming Monday.
because mud
These two
season-
guys,
Mud season's coming.
yeah.
Do we
Yeah, I
need
got-
to
you know,
approve every highway department employee, or can we just delegate that authority to Scott directly?
He recommends you must hire.
Yeah, the board
By law.
hires, but
The
he
board
recommends.
hires, so we have to do it.
Yeah.
So, and we need at least 24 hours notice, right, before we meet.
Right,
And
unless
this-
it's an emergency.
So, but yeah, I mean, I'm happy to do an ad hoc meeting on short notice if,
Yeah, you two guys will be doing that.
And I gotta say, our roads are holding up real nice.
Are they good?
so far.
I mean, my driveway's starting to go south,
Yeah.
but the road.
Oh, mine too. But I think he's more concerned about, let's say you decided that, yes, this person was okay, and you hired that person, then they have to go through the physical, they have to go through the drug testing, and that takes a few days,
Yeah,
so,
No, I think
He
we
doesn't
should
wanna keep it.
accommodate it.
okay,
I'm more than happy to do it.
Yeah, me too.
okay, so.
I think that's great, and if, depending on when it is, I'm still able to, I'll try and jump
Okay.
on.
Excellent.
But I'm not giving any guarantees.
Right.
I have faith in Scott, though. He's not gonna hire anyone just to have a body.
Nope.
Okay, what else do you have?
Then the other thing is, I'm just bringing you up to date on our printer saga. The 2 printers that we've received,
The new printers.
the 2 new printers that we have received are just not feasible for us to continue using.
Okay.
So we're in discussions with WB Mason as to what's the best way to answer this.
Well, why not,
We have found they're not workhorses, they do not do what we need.
Yeah,
They
I
don't
thought
even
so.
have envelope feeders. They will not take different weights of paper. And we use different weights of paper for various things, David especially for his permits. So it's been interesting. Yeah, so Brian has, our computer IT guy, I found this one Hewlett Packard, which is
That's what
what
you
we
need.
have had. It is, they're workhorses, they do what we need and more, but of course they cost more. So, and he has looked at everything and looked at all the specs, and this particular one, it's the 611 model, will work great for us. So, the difference in price is really only about, I didn't even figure that out.
well, do we get a refund on the printers we bought?
Oh, yes, sorry, I'm in works with,
WB Mason,
WB
they'll
Mason.
take them back.
and they will take them back because they are who we will get the Hewlett Packard ones from. So it will be a trade and then we'll just pay the difference, so.
And it's a couple thousand difference, or,
Oh, no, it's like less than less than $1,500 difference,
Okay.
so, total.
I would vote to approve that right now if you guys want.
Yep,
I'll move it.
I'll second.
all right. All those in favor?
Then I.
David, I.
And Judy, aye.
Thank
That's
you.
approved. Yep. Okay, what else do you have?
We need
That was
Sean, are
it.
we gonna talk about?
We need Sean
Those
and,
are my two things. so
okay,
you
well,
can-
let's move to, we've got a safety policy draft,
Mhm.
which, is not Tasco and it's not office construction, it is, I think it's at the bottom of the packet, and it talks about, the safety of the town of Lyme employees is of great concern to the select board. Accordingly, the select board is making some changes to enhance the safety of the town employees and others who enter or work in the town office building. Talks about, doors to the select board and town clerk, tax collector offices must be closed and locked at all times when the building is open to the public. Members of the public can enter the hallway. Staff or officials may admit visitors as needed into their offices.
So I had a question about that. Is there a buzzer or something, so you don't have somebody
Yes.
just standing
Yes.
out there?
Yes,
There is a buzzer.
Yes.
Okay.
Public meetings in general are held out of office hours. Each committee, commission, and board chair will be assigned a key which will open the inside front door. The outer front door, vestibule door, is always unlocked. Only employees and staff members will be given office door keys. We do have panic buttons, and additionally, one will be in this room as well, which it hasn't been in the past. We've got a little note here saying, in the event of threatening behavior, do not hesitate to use the button. If a committee, commission, or board member needs something in the vault, that member must ask a select board office staff member to retrieve it. Only town employees and town staff are allowed in the vault. I believe that the town, maybe we should add the town clerk, and the town clerk staff could also access the vault. But typically, we prefer it to be someone from the select board office.
Yeah, I think if nobody's in the select board office, then they
That would
certainly
be, so
would.
we should.
They would just automatically do that.
I know they would,
anyways.
I know.
You know, threatening behavior, that episode that happened, that was threatening behavior.
Yes, it was, definitely, yep.
That shouldn't be dismissed.
And that is really what is
Nonviolent or anything else.
driving this sort of update of really a procedure.
Right.
Keys to the front entrance door will be given to committee, commission, and board chairs. If a chairperson cannot make a meeting, it will be up to the chairperson to designate a committee member to be in charge of bringing the entrance key. All committee, commission, and board chairs and members must follow the attached checklist prior to leaving the building. And it's checking to be sure lights are turned off, TV is turned off, if it was used, checking that windows are closed and locked, check that the back door in the conference room is secured and locked, turn off air conditioning if applicable, and that the front inside door is locked. If there are additional things to add to that, or we need to change some wording, we should definitely do that. Part of this, I think, Rich knows, Phoebe knows, I think, that we've had some issues, one in particular that was very threatening, and we need to unfortunately move into the 21st century and up some security.
Right.
We are also, I was hoping that we would have our police chief back, who's been, he and Dina have been looking at some
You know
other
his number.
entrance security changes, and we have also spoken with Tasco, and what we will be doing is the details of those changes will be, oh my gosh, it's pouring rain, will be discussed in non-public session, but you will notice that there will be some changes made.
Right. Okay.
Yes,
Good, that sounds broadly like an appropriate reaction. one of the questions I have is this reassuring to the staff? Have you spoken to the staff
We have spoken
to
to
say,
staff.
Yeah.
is this good enough? Because.
Well, we don't have a total plan yet.
Mhm, right,
But we have talked to them about enhancing security,
mhm,
and I think nobody's happy to have to go this route, but people were very uncomfortable, and
yes, right,
it behooves the select board to make sure folks in this building are safe, and folks in the town are safe.
Yep,
So, and
yep.
I know that, sad though it is,
mhm.
they are with it, so.
Okay.
We're not going to be draconian, but we're going to be
Well,
safe.
I mean, a lot of things came out in that previous meeting, and it's like, whoa, I hope that's not true. I will say one other thing. In the computer security world, there's some, people talk about security through obscurity is no security at all. Because if you just hide the way things are doing, the way things work, it may take a while for somebody to find out, but once they've found out, the doors are basically flung open. And the relevance here is your discussions of this in non-public session. And this is a hard question, and I haven't prepped this talk, so I'm just gonna talk for a minute about it. If you were to put in cameras, if you lock the front door, if you do these things, people in town are gonna figure it out pretty
Of course.
quickly.
No, we're
And
not
so-
trying to
and-
hide that.
And so, I almost suggest that you say, the First Amendment knuckleheads, auditors, were a disruptive, scary thing. We need to do this, and maybe even engaging the town to say, this is what we're doing, this is because some bad, rude people came in and made everybody feel profoundly uncomfortable. These are the things we're doing to address that. And I think you'll get support from the town to do that. So
I think we will, and I appreciate that. Those are things we've got on the list to do. It's not new to us that we will be letting people know that we're doing
Exactly.
this,
And-
and generally what we're doing.
Okay, all right, good, thank you.
And it'll be apparent to all members
Yes.
of the community.
And-
It's not like there'll be hidden cameras or.
Yeah, right.
No, there's not,
Mhm.
none of that.
Yep.
We just want to have some candid discussions, and actually, in the RSAs, I don't have it in front of me, but I did actually
Mhm.
see there is one where you can go in non-public section, it's like F or
It's
something,
that, right?
to discuss safety measures.
We just don't want people going to YouTube to find out what our security measures have been.
Well, but you're gonna talk, I mean,
Can I think
Yeah,
I
go
can
ahead.
clear this up.
all right,
The non-public, most
Yes.
part, is gonna be about, what do we do? I don't want every person to hear in public.
mm-hmm,
If somebody comes in and I feel threatened and I feel like I have to take action,
mm-hmm.
I don't want them to know where I'm gonna go or what I'm gonna do.
Okay, all right, good. So
So
you've,
I think that's-
you've heard my
Yes.
argument, and I completely grant that there are things, I mean, you obviously don't have to make public information the combination for the padlock. I mean, no kidding.
Yeah,
And so,
that's what we're doing,
good,
so.
thank you.
I
But
perhaps,
it will be very apparent to
Yes.
anybody coming into
Right.
the office.
Mhm,
It's
mhm.
not like
And
there's
that-
anything hidden that's.
It'll be no surprise that if something untoward happens, that you've discussed a policy with your staff to say, this is what you should do.
exactly,
Right.
that's exactly right.
Thank you.
I perhaps did not take enough time to phrase it,
No,
so
I
that
just
you were
wanted.
reassured that,
I was just making things evident, and you've addressed my concerns. Thank you.
okay, so. We have, do we have people
Oh,
coming in?
Sean had an emergency and had to go.
Okay,
So, when I looked at this proposal from
Tesco,
Tasco, there's a lot of zeros in here. Is he just giving us a bunch of stuff for free?
Well, there's a special deal, sure.
yes. Go ahead.
Well, that's really very generous and very kind of them to
Well,
help us out.
Tasco is generally very supportive of your, you know, police departments, fire departments, EMSs, those parts of your
Well,
municipality.
your bills look a little different.
So they try to,
Yeah,
so
usually
they-
when I get a proposal from them, it doesn't have zeros.
There are no zeros in it.
they try to be as helpful as they can in
Well, we
that
ought to
department,
thank them for
which
that,
is
that's
great.
really very kind
This is
of them.
really great, and, I think it covers what we hope to have covered, and, we will need to discuss if we can find the funds, and the other thing that I would say, I'm sorry that Sean isn't here, and we should maybe push this off, but, we are going to have some entrance changes to the select board office as well, so once that door is open, people can't just walk in and walk through. And do we have some cost estimates on that, David? Not yet. So we can punt that piece
Right.
and the Tasco recommendation and cost
Okay.
reports to the next regular meeting, which is 2 Thursdays away.
Okay.
But I'm hoping that at that point, we can make some definitive decisions in.
Yeah, because Tasco we need to get back to anyway, so
Yes.
we really should, and that, you know, that, I think that part's the easy part, it's the other stuff. And I sent that other draft policy to Sean too, so
Okay.
he has some recommendations. Not the one that you already approved, but the other one,
The
that's
other
the
one.
inner office stuff.
Yep, yeah,
So,
yes, right, and,
but yeah, there's more to it, so.
there is more to it. In the Tasco one, I would like to just approve that right now, but I'm not quite sure where we're gonna find those funds
I
unless
know,
we,
it's so early in the year, I think it's tough to,
I wish
You know,
we
that's something,
had
you
this.
know how like the energy committee goes out and solicits contributions for solar? I wonder if there wouldn't be folks who would be willing to kick in for something like this.
Hmm, that's
Does that
good
solve
thought.
the budget problem for us if we do that?
Well, we usually keep our budgets trimmed pretty close,
Mhm.
and having a extra big piece, yeah, I can't answer that right now, I would need to think about that a little bit, it's a little unsettling to have the town ask for
Right.
contributions.
yeah.
If there was a way to look and see what it might, there's some places it might come from,
Well, budget-wise, yes,
Budget-wise,
that's probably
yes.
the best thing to do.
that's,
And, yeah, no, I guess, I was gonna say, we have the, building maintenance fund, which doesn't take a vote at town meeting, but I'm not sure this would really be considered maintenance,
Maintenance.
but I'd have to read it, and
let's,
I'd have to read what was actually voted in the verbiage to set the
Yep.
capital reserve fund up, so.
So, it would be my understanding that we have consensus that we want to go forward. And if Dina can let Tasco know, and if we can try and resolve how we can come up with the funds to pay for.
We
Richard
just
would
won't
be
have the
sure
open
to
bar at
know.
the next town meeting.
No.
Yes, that's right, we will have cameras, we will have some security cameras.
Yes, right. May I ask the ballpark number of the
It's
number?
like $8,500.
Okay, right.
Very like that.
Mhm.
And a part of that is that the upgrades to the police department are at no cost.
I see. Mhm.
And one of the reasons we go with Tasco is because it's,
Oh, yeah,
that's.
I wondered, this is over $5,000, do we need to put this out to bid?
They have,
You'll have to read your policy.
Yeah.
You can choose not to go out to bid. It's a I know, and I don't like that gray area either, but.
can you send the policy to us?
It's really
Yeah,
odd to
I'll
have
send
someone
you the-
send us a
I'll
thing where
send
they
you the
say, well, we'll give
policy.
you half of this for free,
Yeah.
and then we say, well, we got it.
Well, it's because we're also with them with every other thing. Every other
Yeah,
building in the
we're already
town,
working with them.
every other building in the town of Lyme is covered by Tasco. Our emergency panic buttons are covered by Tasco. Our, you know,
And if you change,
everything.
obviously you'd be paying all over again for.
Yeah,
Well, yeah,
no.
you certainly would,
Well,
plus.
So, would you send the policy around, I wanna take a look at that, if there's any way to, I mean, it's not rational to put this out to bid if we're basically getting it
It's
below
not a new,
cost.
that's right.
Right. they're a provider to the town.
Already, that's right.
And I'm thinking that we do have a 10:30 appointment.
You do.
And before we adjourn the public session, I just wanted to remind folks that April 1st is the published date for the East Thetford Bridge to be closed. It may be a day or two or a week later, but just to keep that April 1st date in mind. And also, Dina, if
That'll be a hell of an April Fool's when someone
Yes.
decides down there to get to the freeway and they're late for work.
The one other thing is the state sent an email saying that they would give 2 weeks' notice
Yeah, I
before it
see.
closed. So they'd have to give notice
If-
pretty quick if they're
if
gonna
I
close.
could just say, I don't wanna rely on that.
Yeah.
I
Keep
know.
that April 1st date and
Absolutely.
be aware. And then if we could put out a notice or just briefly on the listserv and the webpage that the elderly, the veterans, the disabled, the blind can all file for exemptions or tax credits up to April 15th, because that's a
Hmm.
special category. Anyone with a hardship can file anytime with the Board of Selectmen, Select Board, Select People,
People,
and,
we're
And-
selectmen.
I'll just, we'll put out a
Yeah.
general thing about
yeah,
exemptions, credits, all that.
that's great, okay.
Waivers.
And the individual that was mentioned at town meeting, if people who know that individual would encourage them if they want to come and talk to the board,
Mhm.
it sounded like a circumstance that should be addressed. If we can, if we can't, we can't, but,
If you're talking about the one Hebe, that person is all set, they have an exemption now, and I think they, yeah.
Oh, good.
anyways,
okay, thank you. Good to know.
Yeah,
And, I'm gonna move to take a slight break for less than 5 minutes, and then we are going to move to go into non-public session.
Terrific.
Somebody's not here.
I see that.
Shocking,
so
So
we're gonna go into
shocked.
non-public after, so I should just.
I
There's been
would
Zambler.
end the public